I'm Denise.
And I'm Jen.
I'm the author of Woman with a Thousand Hats. And Jen owns this beautiful bookstore that we're in.
I do. Vault Books and Brew.
And welcome to the first episode of Skirts and Words, our podcast about books and writing and bookstores.
And being girls.
And being girls.
And selling books and talking about books and all the things with words.
Yeah. So, this is our very first episode, first time we've ever done it. So if it's a little bit awkward, you're going to love it anyway. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about why we do what we do. And I'm going to let Jen start because I want to hear why she is a book lady.
Why I am a book lady? Well, when I was little, I was very shy and awkward, and books were my best friends. They were my only friends. And I learned to read very early on, and books meant everything to me. And so as I got older, I just wanted to be surrounded by books all the time. I worked at a store called Walden Books. Do you remember Walden Books?
Mm-hmm.
I worked at Walden Books while I was in college, and it was the absolute best job I ever had. I got to be paid minimum wage, but I would have been paid zero, to sell books to people and talk to people about books, and it was absolutely wonderful. Eventually, I graduated college and I got a real job, and it never brought me the joy that working at that bookstore did. And so eventually one night I was laying in my closet about midnight having a quarter life crisis, and I decided I had to have a bookstore. That just had to be what the next step in my life was. I couldn't work for the government anymore. I needed to be surrounded by books and light and book people. And my husband decided that he would join me in this venture, and it kind of all just snowballed. Let's see, where to start. There's so much to say. Like, there's a lot to say. I don't know if I can condense it. So let's go back to when I was 9, when I first moved to this very small town. I moved here from an even smaller town, and the building that we're in right now, I thought was the most beautiful, fancy building I had ever seen in my whole life. It has stained glass and just beautiful high ceilings, and I thought it was gorgeous. And so I've always kept my eye on this building throughout my life. Even after I got married and moved away, I still kept tabs on it. And one day, around about the time I was quarter life crisising, the building became empty. And my husband also liked this building very much, and he's extremely talented with renovation, and he decided that it would be a good project for us. We could renovate it, honor the history of it, make it a beautiful space, and I could fill it with books and sell coffee. And we didn't know 100% if we could do it. But we decided to do it anyway. I think I was a little bit more sure because I feel like I could sell books to anyone at any time just because I love them so much. But we did it. We made a go of it. We're almost at 2 years now, and things are going good. We've made a beautiful space for the community, and I'm infecting others with my love of reading.
And it is a beautiful store. And there are so many events here, and I have met people here. Jen carries my books, which is fantastic. That's always a bonus for me. But it's really awesome.
It's very fun. It's fun to fill a space that I wanted when I was a kid, when I was growing up. It's got ice cream, it's got coffee, it's got books, it's got nerds. It's like a great, safe, fun place, and I'm really glad that I can share that with the community. And that's why I do what I do, and every day I learn something different. I don't know how to run a business. Don't tell anybody that. But every day I learn a little bit, and I think I'm making it every day. Every day that I learn something is a good day, so I'm pretty happy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I also sell books. I do several events a year. This year, I did NanoCon just a couple weeks ago in Longview, Washington. And then later this year, I'll be doing Comic-Con in Portland. My husband and I have done events forever, and so book events are just kind of my shtick. But I started writing, I don't know, I think everybody that writes starts when they're like 6.
Mm-hmm.
I've been writing forever, and I made my first attempt at a book when I was 12, and it was all of the advice I wanted to give my parents who were acting kind of like idiots in my middle school mind. But I didn't really make a book until 2012. I wrote this cyber dating thing, and my husband thought it was great and helped me, supported me through all of the rejection letters that I got, and that finally became a thing. And after it came out, I couldn't stop making books, and now I'm writing, I think, my 9th book, which is crazy. But I read so much as a kid, and actually right now I'm reading Matilda with my son. That was
my favorite quote in it.
That was one of my just like favorite books about a kid who didn't really fit in and became awesome anyway.
I think that's the first time that I saw myself reflected back to me in a book, and that was a really pivotal moment for me. It was in 3rd grade when I read it. My 3rd grade teacher said, "Oh, you have to read this book. You'll love this book." She got me, and that was the first time. I love to read anyway, but that was the first time I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, and she's okay, and I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, and so I don't know, books have just always, like you said, they were just always there for me, and I love to research, and so I read all kinds of weird stuff. Today I had a bunch of research about how to describe how a potato tastes, and stuff like that, to me, is just super interesting.
And how did you describe it?
It's really difficult because if you're describing it to someone who has never tasted a potato, this is where I needed Google to help me. And also I eat them slathered with other things. So they're like gritty, starchy, tasteless really when they're by themselves. Anyway, so all of that stuff, I get lost in all of that stuff, and I enjoy it so much. I have not been able to stop, and I'm really lucky that I have a really supportive family who thinks that my books don't suck, and so like I said, I keep making them. And recently I started using Instagram. I'm really new to Instagram, but people have been enjoying watching my life as a writer, and I've had people asking me for writing advice, and they wanted to know more, and so I ended up talking to Jen about doing this podcast so we can talk more about making books and selling books and being book people. So that's it.
The end. Cut. Do you want to talk about your book?
Well, yeah, so this is my my most recent book that has come out, Woman with a Thousand Hats, and it is available, Vault Books and Brew, but it's really about all of the jobs that I tried to do and all the relationships I tried to have before I finally gave up and became a writer. Like you said, I grew up, I got out of high school, and I got a real job, that paid the bills and was the kind of job you're supposed to go to 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 2 weeks of vacation a year. And it drained my soul. I don't really know how else.
I think a lot of the problem is what you're supposed to do. You did what you were supposed to do. I did what I was supposed to do. And then now I stepped out and I did something crazy, but I'm doing actually what I'm absolutely supposed to be doing.
Right.
In the entire universe, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and it's really hard to be okay with that initially.
It's very
and I don't even really know why I decided I needed a real job, because
that's what you're supposed to do.
right, but I didn't have like my family pressuring me to go be a high finance whatever. I think I'm on my 27th job title, so I could have inserted anything in there, but yeah, I thought that being successful meant having some kind of regular career like you would find in the classifieds, I guess, and then have a house in the suburbs and raise 2.4 children and then retire someday.
Where's my point 4?
The lizard.
Yes. Pants the lizard lives at my house. What was the worst job that you had?
Oh, so there's 2.
Okay.
The worst job I had, this is why you said we might not be able to be friends once. I took care of alpacas, which are a close cousin to the llama. I hate them. I hate alpacas.
I thought alpacas were the nice ones.
They do not like me. I do not like them. There was a lot of spit involved. I spent, I don't know, like 6 months cleaning alpaca pens for a breeder. That was really horrible, and I hated every second of it. And then the hardest job I had, I was a 911 dispatcher for a while. And I loved that job, and I loved all the people I worked with, and it was amazing, and I thought I was going to be there forever. And then I had one bad call, and I couldn't answer the phone anymore. I took all the breaks. I got really busy whenever anything was happening, and realized you can't be a 911 dispatcher if you don't answer the phone. So that was my emotionally hardest job.
My worst job, the job that I was the worst at, was cleaning motel rooms, because I am a terrible cleaner. I have no attention to detail, and I am just really bad at cleaning, and I'm really bad at being a hotel maid. So that did not last long. I only did that for about 2 months, and instead of being a hotel maid, I would rather deliver papers at 3 in the morning. So I did that because at least I could be alone.
Sure.
And I didn't have to clean up after disgusting, hairy people. They're so hairy. There's a lot of hair. So I would much rather deliver papers.
You didn't know, but this is a very educational podcast.
Yes.
It's interesting.
It was awful, and I was terrible at it. And I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. I was meant for things other than that, because I was real bad at it.
So now that you have the store, you've been here for a while, you're an established book person.
Am I?
You are. How do you feel when people come to you for advice?
People come to me for advice every day. It's bizarre. They talk to me about their husband's colonoscopies. They ask me if they should have another baby. They ask, these are all things like in the last 6 weeks. They ask me about how I feel about a thing that their son's teacher said to them. These are people I don't know, but like this space makes people, it's a magnet for people to tell me strange things, and I'm okay with that because I don't have any choice. No, I think the role of barista, which is not a role I ever would have sought out for myself, it's kind of like a bartender. And also I sell books, so I'm like a book tender. And so I think people think I'm qualified to talk about things. But I actually am really happy giving people advice. I give pretty good advice. I never follow my own advice at all. I'm terrible at that. I'm full of wonderful things. I can see people's problems from a mile away. I can fix them. They're grateful. But all of my problems, I'm like, no, certainly that's a terrible idea. I won't do that. But I love when people give me advice. I've had quite a few people actually in the last couple months come to me and say, hey, you're a business owner. Tell me how I should start a business. I'm like, do I look like I know what I'm doing? Because every day I have no idea what I'm doing. I wake up and I'm like, But I put on my business owner hat and I come up with very smart words to tell them. And actually, I'm going to give a presentation on Friday to a group of GED students at Goodwill about how to run a business.
Cool.
And I'm like, have you met me? I
Well,
have no idea.
And see, that's interesting because I've come and spoken to your writing group about writing several times now, and I always beforehand I'm like, I don't know what I don't know how I write it. I mean, I just kind of.
But you put off the vibe that you know what you're doing,
right?
And
It's
people
Google.
respond to that.
Google
so.
helps a lot.
Yeah, I did a whole presentation for them that says you can own a business, and then in parentheses, it's really, really, really hard.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that because my husband and I have owned several businesses, and I think that people assume that when you're in it, it just all works, like a regular job. You clock in, you clock out, everything. You get a paycheck.
Wait, what?
It's not like that.
Who gets
when
a
you
paycheck?
No, I'm saying if you're an employee of another company,
Yeah, I
they
don't
assume that they assume that owning a business is like that.
Yes.
Or that you're super rich and you just flit in, wave, and then flit out.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
No. I found a penny in the couch today. Somebody called because they had lost a pacifier, and I'm like, I'm a penny ahead. So I got that going for me.
Well, good. That's a bonus.
It's very exciting. But I have all the books and coffee that I can handle. So what else is there?
So, if you're not super rich, and I'm not super rich, why do you keep doing it?
That's one of the things that I put in my presentation for the GED students. If you are not passionate enough about what it is that you want to start a business in, that you would not be willing to do it for free or pay to do it, then you should not own that business. I would sell books for free. You need to pay me. Right. I have overhead. But basically at the moment, I do this for free because I love it that much. I think about it all day. I think about it all night. It's absolutely what I'm driven to do, and I'm happy to do it for free. Eventually, I will be in a structure where I'll be making money, and then after that, I will be fantastically wealthy, and it's going to be great.
Right.
I haven't hit the points of how that's going to happen, but I'm assuming this podcast will probably be how it's going to happen.
This is.
But yeah, if you're not passionate enough.
Do you have a vision board? I hear that that's like the key.
I tried, but I got distracted halfway through, and it's under my bed. But it's there. And I did start a vision board when I decided that I wanted to do the business. That midnight crying in the closet, I have to start a business. I'm like, I should do a vision board. So I went on Pinterest, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a vision board. And so I Pinterested what that looked like, but then I found these hair colors that I was interested in, and then I also found this recipe for gluten-free macaroni and cheese, and so then I made that. And then 2 months later, the only thing on my vision board was I had gone to Target, and I had gotten a cork board, and it was in my room. And then I found these other recipes, and they looked really good, and so I made those. So
I am a goal setter, but like an urethral goal setter. And I do these Reddit gift exchanges all the time. Secret Santa, whatever. If you're on Reddit, hey. And so one of my people that gave me a gift, they were like, oh, you are a writer, you talk about goal setting, you talk about inspiring people to write and all that stuff. They sent me a beautiful leather journal, which is now my cookbook, because I don't really write feelings. Exactly.
No, I have a beautiful journal from the mindfulness class that I went to try to be present, and it is really pretty. And I've taken a couple of pictures for Instagram of it,
Right.
Like of the pages, and that's all the further that we've gone in our relationship,
Right.
and that's probably all the further that we'll go. But I did write a to-do list because I needed to pay the personal property taxes, and I needed to get food for the turtle.
Right.
So.
Wait, you have a turtle? You have a lizard and a turtle? What's the turtle's name?
The turtle's name is Princess Jasmine, And she's the meanest turtle that anyone has ever met. So my darling husband and I have been together since high school, and on our 1-year anniversary of dating, he gave me a turtle because year 1 is reptiles, obviously.
Right.
And so she was, what's the word I'm looking for? Like exciting and foreign.
Sure.
And the only thing I could think of to name her was Jasmine, because that's exciting and foreign. And of course Princess, because I really liked Aladdin and because I was 19.
Right.
And it turns out she is a terrible pet. She's mean. She eats goldfish. She will bite your finger off. You can't touch her. If you walk by her, she'll try to attack you. And we've had her for 17 years.
Yeah, they live forever.
And I assume that my grandkids will have Princess Jasmine and that she will be a jerk to them. And that will be the legacy that I will leave to my family. So you're welcome. And now, since we're burying our souls about our pets, I now have a lizard named Pants who came to me this afternoon when I was trying to write down podcast notes because I wanted to be super prepared. And so instead of getting prepared, I got handed to me a lizard in a Gatorade bottle. A very large, this lizard is this big. I'm not kidding. He's a very large lizard. And now he lives in a Rubbermaid tote on my kitchen counter.
That's exciting.
And the boys got him some worms to eat, and that's what I did this afternoon instead of preparing for this podcast.
All I have is I've got Susie, who's a very old bulldog, who is really a pillow with legs. She gets up in the morning, like she slept all night, and she gets up and she goes from her bed in the basement to her bed on the second floor for a nap, because getting up is exhausting.
I agree.
And then she naps up there, and then she wakes up, and then she moves to her other bed in the living room because the nap took so much out of her. And then she's there all day, and then at 7:30 on the nose, she goes back to the basement